Millions of people are asking, do I actually need a degree anymore? My guest wrote the book literally on how to build a thriving career without a college degree. She's the author, researcher, and career design pioneer. I'm talking about no one other than Kathleen Delasky. Hello, Kathleen. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Kathleen, I must tell you this. I'm the guy that tells people to go to college.
Yes. Well, and many people should, so we can talk about that.
Well, but I'm excited to have this conversation with you. You wrote a book titled Who Needs College Anymore? So let's
Mhm.
start right from there. Who does need college and who doesn't? Can you break down
Yeah.
for us?
Yeah, well, I have a whole chapter in the book that creates typologies of people, some who would the research shows would completely benefit from it, and others who could, afford to or get away with going right to career or giving up on their attempts to get a degree. But my basic bottom line, if I say to an 18-year-old or to their parents that you know, if mom and dad are paying, particularly, you should absolutely go for it, right? It's a great coming of age experience. You'll make lifelong friends and contacts, and you'll learn how to learn, even though the career preparation piece is changing very fast, and you might not get that much career preparation these days in college, depending on what your field is. But if you're traditional age and can't afford it, or you're someone who's older and you're trying to figure out, do I need that piece of paper, which is the situation my own daughter was in. um, at, what we're learning is that we've got more and more options, more and more multiple pathways is the term that people are using. They're not well known, they're not well researched, they're underfunded. And so part of why I wrote the book was to kind of make a push for we need these to be clear to people, and we also need to research them and fund them for outcomes, and make them known. So that's one of the reasons that I wrote the book.
Oh, thank you, Kathleen, for breaking that down for us. So now I heard about affordability, which I think is a critical aspect of making this decision. But I also heard about the field. Now, we both agree that maybe some actually need
Yes.
the college, some maybe not. So can you tell us what are some profession or career paths that you think
Mhm.
people don't need to go to college in order to get on those paths?
Right. So there any field that requires a license, that is licensed by the state, for example, and a degree is expected, let's say doctor, lawyer, the higher levels of nursing, not all levels of nursing require a 4-year degree, but some do. Teaching, some engineering jobs, although that's changing, pretty quickly. Those you need the degree. Um, and then the ones where it's now, particularly in the age of AI, becoming a lot more fluid would be, of course, anything to do with tech, um, uh, business, particularly the entrepreneurship side of business, state jobs in government. A lot of states have removed their requirements for a degree, and as part of a move to support folks who don't have a degree. And so I think particular fields where you can make a lot of headway, and where I featured in my book some folks are anything to do with tech, whether you're on the cybersecurity side, even the AI side now, or software engineering. Um, no, you can definitely make inroads. The experience and the proof of what you can do are more important than the piece of paper that says you went to this college or that college. So tech, I would say, is number one. Business might be number two, and probably state government and entrepreneurship, and some nonprofit roles. A lot of nonprofit roles don't require a degree. They want, again, experience and to know that you're a project manager and that type of thing.
So, Kathleen, without this college degree, how can someone start searching for a job? Because at the end of the day, we all have this, maybe I shouldn't say we have
Yes.
resume. You put your college degree, you put your skills, you put all your experiences in your resume. Without a college degree, how can someone still frame their skills so that they can be presentable to potential employer?
Right, because one of the things that college provides for you is that support system to teach you how to network, to teach you how to put your resume together, right? And if you're on your own, you don't have that support system. The good news is now, AI does so much of this for you, that it's actually easier than ever, but you have to be careful not to fall into the trap of just creating an AI generated resume. We've all heard that because there's so many more applications going into jobs that actually college, new college graduates are facing the same difficulty that somebody without the degree has, which is that they can't get their resume uh, noticed in the huge flood that are coming into the hiring systems. And the systems are choked, and recruiters are talking about this in a way, the resume and the hiring system is broken. I'm teaching a class about this at the university where I teach right now, and I'm working with people who are getting their degree, and they're all super stressed about the fact that nobody's getting through, whether you have a degree or not. And we can talk about what are the secret sauce things to get you through. What everybody is saying now is it's experience that matters most. And a lot of the employers are removing the filter that says degree. Not all, I mean, maybe like 50% of the people, of the employers who did maybe 3 years ago, have removed their filter that says we're only going to look at people with degrees. But then you still, as the non-degreed person, you have to figure out how to show yourself just as positively as the degreed person, and you don't have as much help. So I would say, I say to folks, networking is the most important thing to do in the age of AI, and get people to look at your resume, find someone who hires, doesn't matter where they hire, and ask them, what do you look for? Like, look this over. And I mean, I can already tell you that they look, number one, for experience. And so experience, and then how do you get that? We can talk about that. There's a chicken and an egg problem, right? Like, how do you get the experience but the college students are facing the same thing. And they actually are busy getting this degree and can't be getting it. A lot of them are trying to like have a job and go to school. And it's kind of a mess right now because of AI in terms of anyone getting hired. So but experience is the thing that pushes you through the gauntlet.
Thank you, Kathleen. So let's take a step back for a
Mhm.
moment here. I want to hear from you. At what point, or maybe do you have data point? Because I believe what you are telling us today is based on your research that you've done. At
Mhm.
what point did you get convinced that traditional college is not only the pathway for future career? Can you tell us about that?
Right. Well, it might surprise you that I actually come from sort of inside the system of the collegiate system, if you will. So I was on the board of a large university, a public university in Virginia called George Mason University. Some of your listeners might know it. And I'd been a social entrepreneur in education previously, but I saw the need, along with many colleagues, to start a nonprofit that could help colleges themselves, sort of disrupt themselves, if you will, and begin to offer other forms of learning and shorter forms of learning than the degree, because we were all seeing at that time the statistics which showed that even of the people who went to college, only well, 40 to 50% of them were not getting through. They weren't finishing. And so we needed to do something to support those people. And then only 60%, well, sorry, 60% of Americans do not have a 4-year degree. And I think when I give that statistic, when I've been on my book tour and talking to folks, they're always surprised by that number. They think that that lots of people have a degree, but it's actually only 38% of people American adults have a 4-year degree. And so that's the thing that we're working on. And that's how I got involved in this was the research really demonstrated that we weren't meeting the needs. We were telling more and more people to go to college. We had this whole college access movement that I was part of. I was working in that space in the early 2000s. And but so many people were starting and not finishing, and then others felt left out and kind of like they couldn't make it work because of either money or family commitments or feeling like they didn't have the academic preparation. And so what are we doing for those folks? And my argument in my book is colleges should step up and be the provider because we have trust in particularly community colleges. My organization, the Education Design Lab, works with a lot of we're working right now with about 130 community colleges to create what we call micro pathways that someone who only has 6 months, let's say, to get themselves to work rather than 2 or 4 years to get a degree, can do a shorter term credential that's sort of makes them job ready because the employers have helped design it.
Wow. So I'm completely surprised to hear about the statistics you gave that maybe it's only about 38% of adult Americans that have college degrees. That is quite surprising to
Yeah.
me. But let's make it practical here. And I know you talk about micro pathway. Uh,
Hmm.
for someone, non-degree people, what are maybe one or two things, ideas that you want to tell them that could possibly move the needle with hiring managers so that they can? I know you talked about networking, which is
Networking,
essential
right?
for both degree holder and non-degree holders, but for specifically for people without
Right.
college, how can they put themselves out there?
Yeah, I believe that if not all community colleges have figured this out, I mean, most community colleges offer short-term programs in lots of things like particularly the trades or becoming a lot of healthcare fields that are in what they call allied health, where you're working at as a surgical technician or X-ray technician or drawing blood or those kinds of jobs. What we recommend to people is like get on the ladder, and you can get on the ladder by doing a very short program in tech or business or healthcare or even teaching, if that's your interest. And then you're increasing your earnings power beyond, say, minimum wage, like a minimum wage retail job or something. And if you're in the family and in the environment of one of these community colleges, they can show you, because we're trying to make more visible the pathways, like where the step ladder can take you for the next job. So think about it as an incremental approach to learning, that can last your whole career. Because, this has always been a good idea, but with AI coming on us, so many jobs are going to go away. So many job types are going to go away or be highly constricted that, we all need to be, like have our own, plan to learn all the time. And, we're trying to get colleges to think of themselves, like a gym membership model, right? Where you're constantly trying to up your game, right? And that these colleges should be, in communication with you about what you need next, or you tell them, I want to pivot over here to this field, and they tell you what you need. And that's how it needs to work in this day and age. Otherwise, we're all going to, be belly up trying to figure out, what we do after we lost our job to AI, right? Oh, and
Yeah.
the other, can I give one other piece of advice,
Yeah.
which is to get curious about AI if you haven't, because we've been doing surveys of employers, and like of the employers we've surveyed, about half of them say that they are currently looking for AI skills, and they'll screen that, when they're hiring.
Mhm.
But the half that says they're not doing it, they say they will be within 2 years, 2 to 3 years. So I think it's really important not to be an AI Luddite. Um, and that's actually pretty easy to do. And we could talk about that if you want.
No, absolutely. I agree with you right there. I think there's been a lot of saying that AI may not necessarily take people's job, but people that use AI will take
Yes, you're right.
non-users, they will take their job. So I totally believe and agree that people should embrace AI rather than maybe running away from it. Now, Kathleen, you talk about a career playbook. Can you walk us through maybe top level? What does that playbook look like?
Right. Well, the gist of it is that, in particularly in this age, that you need to think of yourself in, I would say, on three fronts. One is, what are your technical skills that could get you hired in the context of the sector that you're going into? That's number one. Number two is, what are your human skills that will help you stand out among the people who also have the technical skills? And the third is, what experience can you get, before, even while you're still building those skills? How can you have something on your resume, or to be able to talk about if you get an interview, that demonstrates that not only are you, um, you know, you can talk the language, and you can ask the right questions, but it also shows that you're curious, right? That you're hungry, that you are trying to get ahead, and you're not, because so many people, I hate to say it because I see it in my own teaching, they think, if they can get themselves to college and they're bestowed the degree, and then, jobs are going to appear. And that's actually never been the case, except that, maybe certain, you know, it's the case for fields where there are major shortages, like nursing, for example, and maybe some cybersecurity roles.
Yeah.
But it's not the case for most roles. And the students are so, they feel betrayed when they find that out. And so, yeah, you have to be on the front foot, with lots of, agency
Uh,
for yourself.
yeah. So you do advocate for portfolio over resumes, right? So for someone in a non-creative field, maybe
Mhm.
in finance, in operations, what does a compelling portfolio look like?
Yeah, well, I think portfolios are tough, in they're easy if you're trying to demonstrate your technical knowledge of, like, coding or that type of thing, and they're easy, um, in creative fields, as you say. But for in let's take business. I think in business you need to be able to, like, you don't necessarily need to link to, I mean, you can link to a startup project that you helped do, or it's there's no it's never wrong to link to things that can demonstrate, but you want to be careful that they are things that are, professional quality, right? That's why the internships and the experience help, because it helps, But again, you can run that by someone that who's in that field. Like, for instance, I had someone applying to work for me at the Education Design Lab, and it was for a communications role, and they sent me a podcast that they had done, and
Uh,
it was pretty bad, and it was long and rambling, and not poor quality. And I was like, oh, this is like, why are they sending me this? And they were obviously told, make a portfolio.
yeah.
And but it wasn't good enough. And so, you need to find the bar in the professional world, not just in your, class that you took about it.
Okay, so let's talk about your book, Who Needs College Anymore? So, what are some key takeaways from your book that you want my listeners to know about?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking. I I divided the book into key stakeholders, what do employers need in this new world? What do colleges need, and what do they need to do? What do high schools need to do? And then learners and their families. And I would say that the key takeaway for your audience, the sort of the learners and their families, is to think about experience, which we've been talking about the whole show here. Think about how to get experience, and if you can't get experience, to think about how to get an industry recognized certification. So not just a general certificate that doesn't have a well-known brand, but one that specifically is a signal to employers in that field. I profile, for example, a young man who it was a software engineer, and he in high school, in his high school, he was able to take electives to get these like data security
Mm.
um, certifications that are recognized by this group called CompTIA,
Yeah.
they're well known. And if you're lucky enough to be in an industry that has those kind of certifications, then that's a surefire way to demonstrate capability for day one. We're trying to get more fields to develop that kind of thing. They only exist really in, tech and the medical field for sure. Um, and project management, you can get different kinds of certifications. And then Google, I would recommend to your folks, Google has a certificate program that isn't in and of itself, it's not going to get you hired at Google per se, right?
Right.
But it gets you on the kind of playing field to understand where the bar is. And so I recommend those kinds of they have certificates across several fields. Um, and th those are worth looking at. So I recommend apprenticeship and certifications. And if you're still a high school student trying to take some of these career technical certifications while you're still in high school, even if you plan to go to college, they're just really good to ground you in in sort of what the technical world expects of workers these days.
So that's so good, Kathleen. Even though, and this is what I'm taking from our conversation here, even though you are not necessarily telling people go to college, you are still a strong advocate of learning. You are telling people to educate themselves, whether it's through some certification out there, so that they can become hireable, I'll say. Now, that will take me to the next question. If someone came to you, maybe they have like $1,000 and they
Awesome.
have
Okay.
a goal that within 90 days they want to become hireable to land a job, right? What would you tell them?
Well, if you're a DIY, do-it-yourself YouTuber type person, I would say spend $49 a month, so you don't need very much of that $1,000
Mhm.
um, to do like a certificate in or certification. Even the best thing is an industry certification, but sometimes you need to learn the material before you can sit for that test. So figure out a way to do that through your high school. Through Coursera has a $49 a month plan, which is kind of like a gym membership. Coursera.org. And then if you're someone who's not a do-it-yourselfer and you want hand-holding, which a lot of us do, I would recommend to, look to your local community college, try to get an appointment with one of their advisors and I want to dip my toe into this field. What course could I take? Because it's very inexpensive. Community colleges usually the courses are between, 500 and $1,000. Um, so it's not
Okay.
unmanageable.
That's a good. So now let's you've spoken directly with hiring managers, right?
Yeah.
What are they telling you that they are looking for in candidates that maybe consistently deliver on their job?
Well, what they say and what they do are often two different things, right? Like they say they want to hire for the human skills, but the problem is we don't know those that they don't colleges or high schools, but we don't know how to credential those very well. So it's hard to know. So they're, the interesting thing is now AI can just take the resume and infer
Hmm.
you might have said, I was on the high school basketball team, or I, cared for my grandmother. Like it can infer your human skills from that, but
Hmm.
what it does with them is still kind of fuzzy to all of us trying to figure this out. So if you can have, both have some technical skills
Yeah.
shown as well as what you did, because one hiring manager said to me, when I'm looking at human skills, I look for leadership positions, and it can be, you can be leader of the neighborhood bake sale. That's fine, but like what did you lead? That's like she said, her number one. She looks for the word lead or led,
Okay.
and that's like that's a pulls you out of the pile to get looked at.
Yeah.
I thought that was fascinating. So, those are some tips. I mean, obviously the technical, if they recognize a technical certification, that also if they ask for it in the job description.
So,
That's very helpful.
so good. As we are wrapping it, if every listener, if they are going to take one action this week
Mhm.
forward, what would you tell them to do first?
Well, it kind of depends on where they are. I mean, I want to say network with somebody, like find somebody that who's
Mhm.
in the field that might be interesting to you, and have the conversation that we're having here today. Have it with a person because I mean, you can also ask ChatGPT, but and you'll get pretty far. I mean, I'm not knocking that, but it's really nice to engage with a person about this. And if I could say a second thing, I I'm making my class this semester do these AI missions where they're having to teach themselves AI in different categories and there's a guy, if you look at the AI Daily and look at his New Year's resolutions, which he invited people to have a New Year's resolution. He's another podcaster. He invited people to have a New Year's resolution to like up their game in AI literacy. And
Right.
so you can go to this site that he's created and try these different missions. So I'm making my class do that right now. And I think it's really building their confidence. So that's another suggestion that I have.
Fantastic. So now we have come to our rapid fire question section.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
All right, Kathleen, rapid fire round. The first answer that comes to your mind.
It's
Let's
just like Jeopardy.
degree or no degree for your own kid. What would you advise them today?
I have one of both. Um, yeah, I don't think I can't answer that question because there's so not one answer.
Okay, okay, I'll
That's
take
my
it.
answer.
Okay. What's the most overrated thing on a resume?
What's the most what thing? Sorry.
Most overrated item
Overrated.
on a
Okay.
resume. Yeah.
Um, Overrated thing on the resume. I I don't want to say degree because I don't think that's the most overrated thing. I don't know, maybe your references because nobody calls them.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. One skill every professional should be building right now.
One skill every professional should be building right now. Well, I think I said it in the last question, AI literacy.
AI literacy, I agree. Best free learning resources on the internet. Where should people go?
Well, I use this to research my book. I love Reddit as
It is.
because it's other people who are really smart telling you what they did in the situation that you're looking for an answer for. And
My,
it's very,
my wife loves Reddit. I think it suck people in, so
yeah, yeah, it's true.
I use it that often. So LinkedIn profile or portfolio website, which do you think matters more now?
Oh, wow. Probably the portfolio website, but why not do both? Because
Okay.
people want to look at your LinkedIn profile to see how you like, do you meet the bar? Like, do you get what you're supposed to even have on your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah. So, what's the job interview question that you think every candidate should be ready for?
Um, Tell me about a time when you did
Yeah.
X, because that's how they get at your critical thinking skills.
Okay, so finally, what's one career advice you wish you had gotten at the age of 25?
25. Well, for me, I think it was slow down.
Slow down.
Yeah, because I was trying to do everything.
All out.
It was a different time, and so for me, I mean, it's longer than a rapid fire answer, but we could talk about that offline. But I was just trying to think. I thought I had to do everything, by the time I was 30, and
Uh,
yeah.
We have come to the end of the show, Kathleen. I enjoyed this conversation. People should educate themselves, definitely. And career future has changed. People should continue to embrace learning so that they can position themselves for the future. And that's the parting word. What do you have to say to us? How can my listeners find you so that they can connect with you and continue this journey with you?
Well, thank you. My book has a website that's the same name as the book, whoneedscollegeanymore.org. And then I'm continue to write about, what I'm learning because I'm moving around in this field and I'm teaching and seeing a lot of interesting trend lines and reacting to them. I have a Substack, which, you could find by looking up my name.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. I enjoyed this conversation with you.
Thank you.